हेलो एवरीवन, गुड आफ्टरनून, गुड इवनिंग ऑल। कैसे हैं सब लोग? मेरा नाम है अरविंद
Hello everyone, Saurabh here.
और हम हैं हैदराबाद बॉयज वेयर वी टॉक ऑल थिंग्स क्रिकेट। वी हैड अ बिट ऑफ अ गैप ऑफ कपल ऑफ डेज, एक्चुअली आई वुड से शायद
Couple of weeks.
एक couple of weeks हो गया है, 10 दिन। आई वाज ट्रैवलिंग बैक इन स्टेट्स, सो आई थॉट वी कुड जस्ट रिव्यू। आज के वीडियो में हम बात करते हैं कि काफ़ी मैचेस हुए हैं, सो इट मेक्स नो सेंस टू एक्चुअली टॉक अबाउट मैच बाय मैच, बट इतना सब कुछ हुआ है तो आई थॉट वी टॉक की वेयर वी आर इन द वर्ल्ड कप
True.
एंड व्हाट्स नेक्स्ट। वी आर जस्ट 10 days away from semi-finalists, or already couple of teams are. India has confirmed its position in World Cup semi-finals. South Africa is already there. तो हमें लगा कि आज के वीडियो में हम बात करते हैं कि एक बार टेबल देखें, look at the stage of the World Cup we are in, and what are the chances of the teams to make it to the semi-finalists. So
Oh, yeah.
let me share my screen, sort of. I think you can all see my screen. Let me just run through the table, Saurabh, and I thought I'll want to get your thoughts of the table. So India is at 14 points right now, and South Africa is at 12 points. Australia has आज ऑस्ट्रेलिया का गेम हुआ था इंग्लैंड के साथ, they bet इंग्लैंड एंड नाउ दे आर एट 10 पॉइंट्स। ये तीनों तो थोड़े मुझे आगे ही लग रहे थे। असली रोमांचक जो ड्रामा हो रहा है उसके बाद हो रहा है। न्यूजीलैंड इज एट 8 पॉइंट्स. They lost dramatically to Pakistan today in a very rain-hit game. The Duckworth-Lewis system came into the play. Pakistan is at 8 points. They had a win with New Zealand today. And Afghanistan is at 8 points. The जो हमने predict किया था start of the tournament की they'll have a very good World Cup. They are doing that. Sri Lanka, Netherlands, Bangladesh, and England are officially out of the World Cup. Aj, more or less, it's confirmed that they are not going to make it. So, sort of, what do you look at the table before we go to the next games and the scenarios? Table देख के क्या लग रहा है आपको?
Arvind, I mean, the first thing which kind of stands out in this particular table is where England is standing right now. I mean, हमने शायद इंग्लैंड के बारे में बात की थी couple of weeks back as well, और उनके उस टाइम पे भी द वे दे वर हेडिंग उस समय भी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था, एंड वेयर दे आर राइट नाउ इज बीन एब्सोल्युटली शॉकिंग। और
I
अब
know.
ऐसे अब ऐसे चांसेस क्या हैं 2025 में? आई डोंट नो दे गोना टिंकर विद द रूल्स। जो 2025 में जो चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी है पाकिस्तान में, इंग्लैंड मोस्ट पॉसिबली शायद दे विल
नहीं
नॉट
होगा.
go. Just imagine a world, event, of top teams, and England is not there. So, and England, ऐसी नहीं है कि England of 2015 है. You have good quality players. So that's one thing which kind of stands out. India, South Africa, Australia, I think 2 हफ्ते पहले भी, I think India, South Africa especially, they were in a very commanding situation even then, and they are in the commanding situation even now. Australia, I think what they have done in last few matches, I think the last 5 matches हुए हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया के, they woken, they उठ गए हैं जो जहां पे भी थे। आई मीन लास्ट फर्स्ट 2 मैचेस वो इंडिया के साथ हारे थे, एक और मैच किसके साथ है, साउथ अफ्रीका के साथ हारे थे। सो दे
Correct.
आर फाइनली, अनलेस एंड अनटिल कुछ ऐसा सिचुएशन होता है, आई थिंक ऑस्ट्रेलिया इज थ्रू एंड थ्रू। जो बैटल है, जो खिचड़ी अभी मची हुई है, is the fourth position. Either it's going to be New Zealand, it's either going to be Pakistan, Afghanistan. I know श्रीलंका के भी थोड़े चांसेस है, लेकिन मोर और लेस उनका नेट रन रेट काफी नीचे है, सो मुझे लगता नहीं कि श्रीलंका के कोई चांसेस होंगे। लेकिन न्यूजीलैंड, पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, these three teams are going to fight for the final four, और मुझे लगता है अगर उसका पोडियम बनाएंगे तो न्यूजीलैंड is kind of standing in the forefront, जिनके चांसेस थोड़े से ज्यादा है considering the kind of results that they achieved in their first 4 matches. तो न्यूजीलैंड देखा जाए तो ऊपर फर्स्ट 4-5 मैचेस उनके परफॉर्मेंस काफी अच्छे थे। दे आर कमिंग, थोड़ा
They're
नीचे
coming
उनका
down.
परफॉर्मेंस कमिंग डाउन। पाकिस्तान इज सॉर्ट ऑफ गोइंग अप, आई वुड से आज के परफॉर्मेंस के बाद तो उन्होंने काफी अच्छी छलांग मारी है एज फार एज परफॉर्मेंस इज कंसर्न। लेकिन उन्होंने इतनी बासी परफॉर्मेंस दी थी बीच में, आई मीन आफ्टर देयर फर्स्ट 2 मैचेस, मुझे कभी
Yeah.
कभी लगता है पाकिस्तान डजंट रियली डिजर्व टू बी इन दी फाइनल फोर। New Zealand is playing good cricket, लेकिन their performance has dipped. I mean, with one of the reasons being, उनके पास players की भी अब कमी हो गई. I'm not really sure if Carl Jamieson is going to play, the next match against Sri Lanka. So New Zealand is certainly hampered by injuries. That's one of the reasons. लेकिन हाँ, उनके performance में हल्का सा एक dip आया है. Not a dramatic one, लेकिन हल्का सा एक dip जरूर आया है. अफगानिस्तान के पास भी थोड़े chances हैं, लेकिन they have very tough matches ahead with South Africa and Australia. So मुझे लग रहा है न्यूजीलैंड, if you ask me 80%, 90%, मुझे लग रहा है न्यूजीलैंड is going to be in the final, is going to be, the fourth team in the final four.
Yeah, let's look at the next games, Saurav. I think that'll give everyone audience और viewers की क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे. So इंडिया के पास 2 गेम बची है. India is going to play South Africa tomorrow, or today, depending on the time zone where you're in. And their last match is at Bangalore with Netherlands. So I think India is ending the campaign very, very strongly. Possibly the best team of this tournament, possibly the best team of this tournament. One of the most dominant performances ever done by
So
India.
Arvind, India is ending at the top, if I'm right? क्योंकि साउथ अफ्रीका के पास कितने मैचेस हैं? अच्छा, साउथ अफ्रीका के पास 2 मैचेस हैं.
साउथ अफ्रीका के पास 2 मैचेस है. सो बेसिकली कल का गेम जो होगा इंडिया और साउथ अफ्रीका इज डिसाइडिंग who's number 1 and who's number 2. I'm predicting India is super strong, that they'll get to 16. And and I think if they lose to South Africa, then shayad run rate ka, because they're very close. So it's basically India South Africa is deciding who's 1 and 2. साउथ अफ्रीका के पास भी 2 गेम है. दे आर प्लेइंग इंडिया एंड अफगानिस्तान. I'm predicting them that they may lose to India, but I think they'll beat Afghanistan, and then be there at the second spot with 14 points there. ऑस्ट्रेलिया का इंटरेस्टिंग स्कोप लग रहा है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया हैज बांग्लादेश एंड अफगानिस्तान. सो बांग्लादेश अफगानिस्तान आपने सही बोला कि 2 टफ गेम्स है. दे प्लेइंग साउथ अफ्रीका एंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया. दर्शकों को बता दें, बांग्लादेश हैड अ शॉक फर्स्ट गेम डिफीट अगेंस्ट बांग्लादेश. अफगानिस्तान हैड अ शॉक फर्स्ट डिफीट अगेंस्ट बांग्लादेश. अगर वो जीते होते, अफगानिस्तान एक्चुअली वुड हैव क्वालिफाइड फॉर सेमीफाइनल्स. दे वर दिस क्लोज. सो आई थिंक वो अब कह सकते हैं कि अपसेट ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट लग सकता है कि वो बांग्लादेश बीटिंग अफगानिस्तान हैड सो मच बिग implications for that team. But I would say Australia, I think, would beat Afghanistan and would beat Bangladesh. We would traditionally assume that कि upset नहीं होगा, and I think they would be comfortable at 14 points through this scenario. आपने सही बोला सौरभ. I think तो खिचड़ी और जो बवाल मचा हुआ है वो यहाँ पे मचा हुआ है. So New Zealand has only 1 game. They have to play against Sri Lanka. हालांकि श्रीलंका is now at 4 points, but they had a very terrible game against India where humiliation, बेइज्जती हो गई बुरी तरह से. काफी मुझे पुराने यादें रिवेंज मिल गया लग रहा है. that I remember that Muthu Muralidharan game where he bowled out India for 49 or something in Sharjah, or I think UAE, like 20 years back. Then the 1996 World Cup semi-final. I know India has done well against them afterwards in World Cups 99, 2003, but I think this is the humiliating one, getting them out for 55. So they are not in a great spot. So I think New Zealand has only Sri Lanka to play. इनके पास एक ही गेम है. So the maximum New Zealand can get to is 10 points. But आपने सही बोला, न्यूजीलैंड का जो नेट रन रेट है is 0.39. It's the highest among the next 2 teams. So New Zealand, Sri Lanka will have a lot of implications for the whole World Cup in terms of semi-finalists. पाकिस्तान के पास भी एक ही गेम है. आज उन्होंने जीत लिया डकवर्थ लुइस के मेथड से. But they have final game against England, who are out today officially, but who probably will want to sign off, with a win, probably. So that's not going to be exactly an easy game, but Pakistan would like to beat England there. So उनका net run rate भी 0.03 है. So we have to see what that would look like. Afghanistan हमने already बात करी है. They have 2 games left. Australia और South Africa बहुत tough games है. They need to win make a chance there. बाकी teams, I can just run it through. They're not going to impact our semi-final scopes, but they can hamper for other teams. So श्रीलंका के 2 गेम है, बांग्लादेश के साथ it's a dead rubber essentially. But I think आप सौरभ जो आपने बोला है वो चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी के लिए you need to be in the top 7, so that's probably what they'll want to play for to ensure that they are in the top 7. Then they have their final game against New Zealand, जो न्यूजीलैंड का भी final game होगा. Netherlands, one of the surprise teams, they have done really, really well. They have 2 wins and they're above England, so they've done well. They also have 2 games. They have 1 game with England, so I think England would want to win to avoid a wooden spoon. And Netherlands' final game is against India, which I think India will be too much for them. Bangladesh is at second to last, -4 के -1.4 के negative run rate पे है. उनके भी 2 गेम हैं, श्रीलंका और ऑस्ट्रेलिया. And I think essentially they're dead rubber श्रीलंका के साथ, but Australia के game would be important for Australia at least. And England has 2 games left with Netherlands, which is probably a dead rubber, and Pakistan, which is hugely implications for Pakistan there. So दो game ही बचे हैं, so World Cup is basically coming to the close here. So Saurav, I thought I could just talk about permutation and combination कि कौन आ सकता है जो हमने बोला है. Let's just spell it out clearly for our users and viewers. तो इंडिया और साउथ अफ्रीका को छोड़ते हैं because India is confirmed in semifinals. South Africa is also 99.99 done. I think आज के विक्ट्री से हो गया है.
कंफर्म्ड हो गया है.
Confirmed है. Okay, so confirmed है, and I think they just need to figure out who's 1 and 2, which we'll know tomorrow. बात करते हैं the next 4 teams की. So let's talk a little bit about Australia. What does it take for Australia to get into the semifinals? We would assume they would beat Bangladesh and Afghanistan. They would get to 14. They'll be third. That's probably they'll end up there. Even if South Africa loses, I think, against India but beats Afghanistan, I think South Africa का run rate बहुत अच्छा है, so I don't think South Africa will lose their second spot. So it increasingly looks like South Africa and Australia will be 2 and 3. What do you think of this Australia one?
True. तो अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया का वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो क्या है? I mean, they're going to lose 1 out of the 2 matches. Let's say they lose against Afghanistan, win against Bangladesh. I'm talking about the worst case scenario. वो 12 पॉइंट पे जाएंगे. 12 पॉइंट पे जाएंगे. They're going to remain in third, assuming South Africa defeats Afghanistan. Let's say South Africa हार जाती है दोनों matches. I don't think so it's going to be a walloping defeat for South Africa. Worst case scenario भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो मुझे लगता है 2 और 3 पोजीशन शायद स्वॉप हो जाए, बिकॉज साउथ अफ्रीका भी 12 में रहे, ऑस्ट्रेलिया भी 12 में रहे, तो 2 और 3 हो सकता है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया 2 हो जाए, साउथ अफ्रीका 3 हो जाए, लेकिन the teams are going to remain the same. So semi-final जो फर्स्ट या सेकंड जो भी आप बोलना चाहें, that's going to be South Africa, Australia. ठीक है, India is confirmed.
I just got an idea which you just said as a worst case scenario. क्या ये हो सकता है कि worst case scenario, let's say both South Africa और ऑस्ट्रेलिया का ले लेते हैं, South Africa loses both, इंडिया से हारते हैं, अफगानिस्तान से हारते हैं, चलो स्पिन आ गया एंड व्हाटएवर, साउथ अफ्रीका विल बी एट 12 पॉइंट्स. ठीक है, इंडिया विल बी एट कंफर्म.
आप कितना आप सोच लीजिए नेट रन रेट भी, आई मीन जस्ट अज्यूम लेट्स से इट गोस डाउन टू 1.
हां, नेट रन रेट भी चला गया है 1 पे. ठीक है, हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया का भी वर्स्ट केस ले लेते हैं. ऑस्ट्रेलिया लूजेस टू बांग्लादेश, चलो शॉक व्हाटएवर. ऑस्ट्रेलिया लूजेस टू अफगानिस्तान, अगेन 2 शॉक्स. वी आर टेकिंग एब्सोल्यूट वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो. So in that case, actually, Australia would be at 10 points and Afghanistan actually would get to 12. So there is a scenario कि लग रहा है कि I think South Africa के लिए the worst case scenario is they'll probably drop down to third. Probably.
Yeah.
But I think Australia का worst case scenario is, their worst case scenario is they will drop down to fourth. Because in that worst case scenario, Afghanistan comes to 12 points and Australia is at 10 points. So worst case ऐसा लग रहा है for any team to qualify for semi-finals, they need to hit the magic number of 10 points. Then you're kind of safe, sort of safe, not fully safe, but you can expect that net run rate will play into your game and all that. I think 8 points is too risky for them, and I think we'll know why. I'm just going to tell you with it. 12 will make them safe, but 10 keeps them in the hunt.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about New Zealand. So New Zealand के पास, sorry, go ahead. Before I get to the New Zealand, you had something else.
Yeah, New Zealand. I mean, continue with the New Zealand. So there's a point that I have.
So New Zealand is on 8 points today and they only have one game. So let's take the best case scenario. New Zealand के लिए best path of semi-final ये है कि they beat Sri Lanka, they're at 10 points. And they have a good run rate, the net run rate would improve. Even if Australia's worst case happens, that Australia would be at 10 points. So Australia, New Zealand would then qualify, go through. Although I've just realized in that scenario, New Zealand needs to ensure Afghanistan doesn't win both. Because if Afghanistan wins both, Afghanistan would be at 12, Australia would be at 10, and then New Zealand also would be at 10. So New Zealand may drop out because of net run rate. So I think for New Zealand, it is very clear. They want to confirm semi-finals by beating Sri Lanka, and they want to win it well so that other results go into their favor, and they are, they try to, be there. मैंने यहाँ पे गलत लिखा है. मैंने बोला है they need to beat Sri Lanka to confirm SF. It's incorrect because they still need to hope that Afghanistan doesn't win both.
राइट. एक और सिनेरियो अरविंद ये है कि न्यूजीलैंड और श्रीलंका का जो गेम है, आई थिंक इट्स इन बैंगलोर इफ आई एम राइट. यू कैन जस्ट कंफर्म दैट बिहाइंड द सीन्स इफ यू विश टू. और जैसा सुनने में आ रहा है, इट्स इन बैंगलोर और चांसेस ऑफ रेन इज रिलेटिवली हाई. अगर बारिश हो गई then it could be curtains for New Zealand. And provided
you're right.
Pakistan defeats, England.
We're gonna come to Pakistan, but not just provided, because they cannot have Afghanistan win both. Afghanistan win both, their curtains down for New Zealand anyway.
New Zealand as
Afghanistan
well,
would be at 12. You're right. Actually, if New Zealand cannot have a match rain hit, New Zealand needs the game to continue and ensure that they win, get the full 2 points, and hope Afghanistan doesn't win both. But they are in the best spot in terms of, that they win, kind of hope that there is no upsets, that they should be able to make it. Let's talk Pakistan. I think Pakistan, they had done a very important victory today. 400 को उन्होंने chase कर लिया. हालांकि rain हुआ, so they still did very well. Coming to 225 overs is not that easy. I mean, considering New Zealand and considering their own batting. But it's not over yet for Pakistan. Unfortunately, उनके हाथ में अभी भी नहीं है. So the way for Pakistan to get through semi-final is Pakistan needs Sri Lanka to win. Essentially, if Sri Lanka wins, Pakistan is in a very good spot because they need to beat England and they'll be 10 points. And they all hope Afghanistan doesn't win both. That's the assumption common, both for both Pakistan and New Zealand. They cannot have Afghanistan win both. And they just need Sri Lanka to win. So, Pakistan ka World Cup semi-finals unke haath mein nahi hai. Despite the win today. They want Sri Lanka to win and they want Afghanistan not to win both. And they need to also make sure that they they want to beat New Zealand by, net run rate koi na aaye. They want to beat England by a good margin. क्योंकि अगर न्यूजीलैंड जीत गया, न्यूजीलैंड इज एट 10 पॉइंट्स, पाकिस्तान जीत गया, पाकिस्तान इज एट 10 पॉइंट्स, पाकिस्तान का रन रेट खराब है. So they have to win very, very big if Sri Lanka game, Sri Lanka game is done. And I was looking at the dates. New Zealand or Sri Lanka is happening on 9th of November. And Pakistan-England is having on 11th of November. So by the time Pakistan-England meets, Pakistan actually has clear indication कि उन्हें करना क्या है. Are they in or are they out? So, yeah, I mean, I think it's still a tall order for Pakistan to make it through because they're relying on both Sri Lanka and Afghanistan to kind of help them.
Yeah. I think ये जो final few matches होंगे, न्यूजीलैंड, पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, I think that they're going to be mouth watering contest. देखते हैं अब उसमें क्या होता है. लेकिन मुझे जैसा लग रहा है पाकिस्तान अगर इंग्लैंड को हराती भी है, इट हैज टू बी अ ह्यूमंगस विक्ट्री. I
या
think in order to they have to eclipse the net run rate of New Zealand. तो
आई थिंक मैंने ट्विटर में देखा भी था, आई वाज नॉट श्योर हु इज नो, मे बी क्रेडिट टू मुफद्दलाल, जो ट्विटर में एक जाने माने
हाँ,
क्रिकेट के हैं. आई थिंक ही मेंशनड आउट इन द एक्स कि पाकिस्तान नीड टू uh, if they're chasing, they need to wrap up in 28 overs or 29 overs to get New Zealand above New Zealand run rate.
I
Pakistan also need to
likely
make
like
sure they need to have a 130 run victory if they are batting first. They need to win big, and they just need to hope Sri Lanka beats New Zealand because it's not on their hands.
true.
Let's talk Afghanistan. Actually, Afghanistan would be very happy with this whole New Zealand Pakistan. Ideally, they would have wanted कि वो game call off हो जाए, but पाकिस्तान ने 20 ओवर खेल लिए थे. But Afghanistan actually is in a very clear cut spot. Afghanistan just needs to beat both of them. I know it is tall order for them. Even if they beat one of them, sort of, they'll reach to 10 points. Then it's basically, then they're relying on others. They need to hope,
True.
New Zealand loses to Sri Lanka and then England beats Pakistan, because England will not have any chances to qualify. So Pakistan would be at 8. Sri Lanka has no chances to qualify. New Zealand would be at 8. And then Afghanistan would get to 10. So they could sneak in as 4th spot. So they have their in their control. They need to win both. Actually, they are in the best spot among all three, because उनके पास अभी भी 2 game बचे हैं, unlike New Zealand and Pakistan. They win both, they're in. But if they win one of them, they just need to hope the other results go their way.
Yeah. I think मेरे को पता नहीं कहीं से एक sneaky feeling, and I've been talking offline about it, but thankfully match चेन्नई या लखनऊ में नहीं हो रहा है. I have a sneaky feeling that that team could be South Africa, where one of the upsets that Afghanistan actually can cause is
Yeah.
maybe just South Africa. I mean, Australia, अगर आप देखेंगे historically, they have a very good record against. I
Yeah.
won't अब मैं अफगानिस्तान को मिनोज नहीं बोलूंगा, लेकिन a team like Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Netherlands, they don't really lose to these teams. तो मुझे साउथ अफ्रीका का थोड़ा सा है डाउट, लेकिन आई थिंक अगर एक मैच जीत, they have to win 2 matches. Honestly speaking, they have to win 2 matches to get through, क्योंकि एक मैच अगर जीतेंगे उतना नेट रन रेट में उनका
नेट रन रेट कम है उनका.
कम है, तो
they are in the negative spot. They need to win both. आपने एक अच्छी पॉइंट बोली है, सौरभ, on the whole, these games. Now that South Africa has qualified, an Afghanistan game is the last game for them. They may even actually rotate the squad, because they don't want to have a trouble of having a final full squad. अगर कुछ injury हो गया, and then you basically
so
उसके
they
बाद
may
next game.
so they may, or depending upon how India, South Africa, and rest of the games go, they might just look at where exactly they're falling in terms of the ranking, as in 1 2 3 4. I mean, right now they're at 2. They may just want to go full squad depending whom they want to play. I mean, they
Possibly.
really wouldn't want to. Yeah, वो भी हो सकता है, but the point that you're making is pretty valid. So I think it would depend upon tomorrow's match, which is going to be mouth watering, or the rest of
क्या
the
मैच
matches.
है?
Sorry,
Tomorrow कौन सा मैच है? अच्छा, you
tomorrow
mean
you
India
have
South Africa?
India, South
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah,
India,
if
South
South Africa wins, then South Africa is like, यार हम आ गए हैं. We can.
that would be the ideal scenario, that they would want to rest few players for sure.
Correct. Yeah, so that's where the permutation combination are right now. What I think possible, well, right now I could be wrong. I think India would be number 1. I don't see them dropping to number 2.
True.
I mean, they're going to beat New Zealand, Netherlands 16. So Pakistan, I mean, sorry, South Africa, I think will be number 2. We would assume they're going to lose to India. I think so. India would be number 1. I know we talked Afghanistan can have chances again. I still think Australia will beat Bangladesh and Afghanistan. अफगानिस्तान का ऑस्ट्रेलिया का एक और राइवलरी सब प्लॉट होने वाला है Australia did not tour Afghanistan because of the recent political change in the
Hmm.
country, and they said, we don't want to tour. There could be that revenge sort of a game key, we want to beat you. So extra motivation for Afghanistan, not just to qualify, but also take a revenge. So that's a very interesting subplot there. And Afghanistan, Australia is first game, and Bangladesh, Australia is the last game. So I mean, I still think Australia should qualify there and be between 2 and 3. So my possible where we are looking at is South Africa, Australia would be your 2 and 3 semifinal number 2 at Eden Gardens, and the first semifinal is India versus New Zealand, Pakistan, Afghanistan. I think New Zealand should seal this, even though they've been dropping in their form and performance. Net run rate is very good. They just need to beat Sri Lanka. It's still in their control. They beat Sri Lanka. They're in a very good spot themselves with the net run rate they have.
Yeah.
I still think India, New Zealand, and South Africa, Australia um, could be a possible semi-finalists here.
ट्रू
Um,
ट्रू ट्रू मुझे भी ऐसा ही लग रहा है. Yeah.
and दर्शकों को बता दें, these are the same teams of 2015 World Cup. India met Australia in 2015 World Cup semi-finals, and South Africa met New Zealand that time.
Yeah.
Numbers थोड़े shift हुए हैं, but teams तो यही हैं. And we had Australia, New Zealand coming to the final here. So ominous signs for some teams there. But yeah, I think India has the best chance here to win the World Cup. They also have best chance to take revenge of that last 2019 semi-finalists if New Zealand comes in. Either ways,
Yeah.
it's a blockbuster. If New Zealand makes it, Pakistan makes it, or Afghanistan makes it, it's going to be a blockbuster game. And South Africa, Australia, we all know dramatic semi-final of 99 will come into our minds, जहाँ पे South Africa choke हो
Yeah,
गया.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, again, a very, very interesting set of games happening here, Saurav. Yeah, that's where we'll conclude. Saurav, any final comments on what you're thinking on the possible semi-finalist, and who do you think are favorites to get
I
to
think
2 and 3 or 4?
I think it's gonna be India versus New Zealand. The entire world is going to be clamoring for India Pakistan semi-finals for sure, and I possibly would want that too. Like it's gonna be if I'm gonna be practical and pragmatic. It's gonna be India New Zealand. It's gonna be a repeat of 2019 World Cup. I think अगर मैं थोड़ा सा forecast कर दूं वो semi-final मुझे लगता है India is gonna win that particular match. और जो
Revenge?
सेकंड हाँ आई मीन एक तो मुंबई है हालांकि मुंबई न्यूजीलैंड मे नॉट बी सो अनहैप्पी अबाउट दैट
Yeah,
पिच इज गुड हालांकि जस्ट व्हाट हैपेंड टू श्रीलंका आई मीन मुंबई तो
you
यू
never
नेवर
know.
नो
You
लेकिन
never know.
दे वुड प्रेफर प्लेइंग इंडिया इन मुंबई. And the second one, that's going to be a good one. I feel South Africa is the favorite, just considering the recent matches that South Africa has played against Australia. But it's going to be a big moment for South African cricket. I think शायद बोल सकते हैं one of the best chances after 99 World Cup to get into the finals. Let's
Finals.
not talk about lifting the trophy. So I think South Africa, Australia रहेगा और India, New Zealand. But for now, maybe we can just talk about the semi-finals results later. So yeah.
Let's hope Rashid Khan doesn't have a different idea, because
यार वो मुझे लगता है इंडिया अफगानिस्तान का अगर मैच हुआ इट्स नॉट गोना बी माउथ वाटरिंग इन इन
well,
मुंबई.
yeah, I mean, but I'm saying it's a big achievement for Afghanistan to get to the top 4.
I see Afghanistan is a winner. I mean,
This
they have
is
nothing to lose even now. अगर वो 2 मैचेस
correct.
हारते भी हैं बुरी तरह तरीके से अगर हारते भी हैं तो they have already
Yeah,
done
they've
what
done
they.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
Afghanistan, Netherlands, they've done pretty well in this World Cup. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Let's wrap up here. Tomorrow's match, I'll just quickly talk. We're not going to do a full preview, but really, India, South Africa are table toppers, 1 and 2. Blockbuster. Who knew this would be the blockbuster? I was thinking India, England, India, Australia, but really, India, South Africa it is. लगता नहीं है कि मुझे इंडिया कोई टीम चेंज करेगा. हालांकि I think the news was out, right? Hardik Pandya is out of the tournament, and who was it who
yeah,
got in?
Prasiddha Krishna. So it's not
Prasidh
a like for
Krishna.
like
It's not
replacement.
a like to like. It's a baller. So which means that they're going to rely on Sky to, you know, be that spot for that number 6, number seven. What do you think of South Africa? Do you think both खेलेंगे महाराज and शमशी या
नो,
चिराग
आई थिंक
कोकसी?
मुझे 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 शम्सी नहीं लगता है खेलेंगे, क्योंकि शम्सी का रिकॉर्ड एक तो इंडिया के साथ अच्छा नहीं है, लेकिन हालांकि जब भी शम्सी खेले हैं, ऋषभ पंत खेले हैं, ऋषभ पंत हैज लिटरली टेकन हिम फॉर क्लीनर्स। लेकिन मुझे लगता नहीं शम्सी खेलेंगे। इंडिया ट्रेडिशनली थोड़ा स्पिन अच्छा खेलती है। तो मुझे लगता है जेराल्ड वही जो सेम बॉलिंग अटैक थी लास्ट मैच में वर्सेस न्यूजीलैंड, आई थिंक दैट्स गोना गो थ्रू। इट्स गोना बी अ गुड कॉन्टेस्ट। देखो, अभी हमने बोला कि इंडिया इंग्लैंड का शायद एक कुड हैव बीन अ माउथ वाटरिंग कॉन्टेस्ट। इंडिया पाकिस्तान का सोच रहे थे, इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया का सोच रहे थे, which
Which I think
basically
India Australia was probably the best of the three, where at least
probably the
Australia.
best, and it turned out
But
to
yeah,
be
I mean,
dud.
it turned all of them are
All the matches
duds.
actually turned out to be
And in
dud.
fact,
The
relatively
closest,
close.
the closest was India New Zealand, which also was a dud in one way if you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. तो मुझे लग रहा है कि ये भी डर ना हो जाए।
But I mean, if there is, I mean, I would like to see that middle order of South Africa versus our spinners. That will be the game.
And I mean, जैसा
Markram and Klaasen versus.
नहीं, I think मुझे भी ऐसा लग रहा था एक टाइम तक, लेकिन the way the Indian fast bowlers are performing, I think it's going to be a battle of Indian fast bowlers versus South African batsmen.
Top order. Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Just imagine, I mean,
Quinton
just
de Kock
imagine, I mean,
and
थोड़े दिन या
DVD.
थोड़े साल पहले we used to talk about South African pace battery
Pace
against
battery against the Indian top order.
which still remains. It still remains.
It still
sort
remains, but this
Yeah.
has now taken the precedence. I mean,
Yeah.
Indian bowling has been the revelation. Well, not revelation, but been the mainstay of this team's success for this World Cup. So mouth-watering, I think. Yeah, whoever wins is the number one of this World Cup. We'll go to Mumbai. We'll 100% go to Mumbai. So pretty much that's the price.
Yeah.
All right. That's all we have. We will come back again after tomorrow. Review how the game went.
Yeah, I think we'll try to do something tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with your friends and family. We will talk again later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.